Hey everyone, welcome back. In our last video we talked about e-commerce, and we wanted to define essentially what e-commerce is, and we broke it into two distinct pieces. The first one was form-based e-commerce, where you're doing things like processing payments and things via a form for donations, etc. And the other end of the equation was, of course, the traditional e-commerce that we're often thinking about, shopping cart, product-based e-commerce. So what I want to talk about today is your options within that end of the spectrum for e-commerce platforms that are out there. And specifically, I want to talk about software as a service-based models versus self-hosted models that you basically develop yourself. So I think that's the primary divide that we see in 2017 between the major e-commerce platforms that get used. So the software as a service model is a hosted model. It's like a website where you create an account, you set up a profile, you pick out a theme, upload your products, and you've got your store online. You can do custom theme development for some of these, but it's entirely focused on the visuals of the store. There's limited control over how you can modify the functionality, and if you can modify it, it's usually through modules and things that are provided to you by that platform. So examples of this would be like a BigCommerce, Volusion, Shopify, and there's some great things about these stores, especially if you're a startup, you're a young business, maybe you're an old business and you're just piloting an e-commerce store. You don't know if it's going to make money, or you're confident that it's never going to make a lot of money, but you do need to have some things to sell. These are great options. The big selling points on them is that they're cheap. You're paying usually a monthly fee, and that's it, plus transaction fees, and those can add up too. So that's another potential reason to switch from one of these, but we'll get back to that in a second. To get started, they're cheap, it's easy, you can get online quickly, and you can usually pick from a variety of available themes and things that make it pretty easy to have something that looks attractive, professional, and they'll get you online and you can start doing business. The other end of the spectrum is the self-hosted model, which with the self-hosted model, what you're doing is more like a traditional website. You've got a server, you've got software that you've put on that server, your e-commerce platform. If you're running a WordPress site, there are absolutely good WordPress plugin e-commerce solutions out there. WooCommerce is probably the most popular one in that respect. But there are other examples of self-hosted e-commerce software out there. Magento's a big player in this market, and they make a great product. And for various reasons, you may pick one or the other. Maybe we'll get into that at a different time. But with the self-hosted model, it is definitely more expensive, but there are other benefits. And they primarily come in terms of ownership and control and customization of the platform and of what you have available to you. And a self-hosted model, with the software as a service model, you just get whatever you get as it's provided to you, because their model works by having, if they're successful, thousands of clients all sharing this same e-commerce platform. It has to be the same for everybody, the way that they're pushing it out to their audience. With the self-hosted model, you're starting from a core group of a core base of functionality, but you're setting up your own instance of that, and you own and control the server environment, you own and control that instance of the software. So you can really do whatever you want in terms of theme customization, in terms of building plugins and add-ons. You can really modify it to a much greater degree, and this is important for businesses that need to have that level of control over their e-commerce software. If you're doing something particularly special with custom orders, with user accounts, with maybe the way that you deliver or fulfill orders, there are a lot of reasons why you may need to consider the self-hosted, self-developed e-commerce option to take advantage of those. The other thing, and I'll touch on this just briefly, is that some software as a service models are very cheap up front, but then they charge transaction fees kind of on the back end, so that while they're very cheap and easy if you're small and getting started, or you're going to do a limited amount of sales, they can become extremely expensive if you're doing a high volume of sales over a very long run, where a model like this can justify the cost simply for not having those transaction fees. You can pick who you process payments with. You can be guaranteed that no one else beyond the merchant provider is taking a cut of those payments. And understanding that is also very important. And that's what I'll talk about in our next video, which is going to be entirely about methods of payment processing, pros, cons, options, etc. So thanks for watching today. Have a good one.